So here we are going to work on customer management system that will allow customer to create account, to check and update their details. Member can log in, member can do reset credential, they can do forgot user ID and password, they can do reset user ID and password. So how flow will work? First, customer will go to company portal and using sign up option they will create account by providing basic detail like name, username, name, address, phone number, email address. So all those details they will give here. Once customer completes successfully member registration, they can log in using their login user ID and password detail. Okay. If in case customer forgot the login detail, they can utilize forgot user ID and password option. Okay. During customer login, they will receive an OTP. So once during their login process, they will receive OTP. Okay, and they will insert that OTP so that we will verify that OTP is valid or not. So for that also we will create API. After successful login, customer can view member detail, update member detail, and they can reset their credential like user ID and password. Okay, so this is our business scenario. So we are going to manage all the customer related activity: account creation, login, forgot username, forgot password, see customer detail, update customer detail, all those things we are going to do. So for all those activity we will develop our API, and one process will be there that will be scheduler based, that will sync customer information from Salesforce to database. So for that we will create scheduler API. Okay, so what is scheduler API? That hopefully everyone know. If you don't know, then what happen in scheduler API, that will run at particular time, whatever time we will define. We can define either fixed frequency, like after this interval run this application, or we can give some particular time like 5 p.m. every day 5 p.m. or every day 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. So in this way you can define a particular time also, or you can define frequency also. So there will be one process for scheduler one also. Okay, so here you can see flow diagram. Okay, so this part is customer registration part. So front end will start the process. So what user will do, they will go to mobile application or web application, they will open this company website and they will fill the details. What all details they will fill, we'll do detailed discussion later on. Okay, then once they will fill detail, they will click on next. So what we will do, we will send OTP on their mobile number. So for that, in Mule side we need one API that will send OTP. So we will create send OTP API. Okay, then once user will receive OTP on their mobile, what user will do, they will check their message and they will take that OTP. Okay, and what they will do, they will enter that OTP in OTP verification section. So like in front end they will redirect in next page, there they will get option to enter OTP. Okay, once they will click on submit, then they will front end will call this API, verify OTP API. So our API, what our API will do, it will go to storage where we have stored our API. It will check for that particular member that OTP is valid or not. If valid, then it will send success, and then what front end will do, once front end will receive success, they will call our next API, that is create customer API. And then what we will do, we will insert that data in database, like this API will insert data in Salesforce. Okay, now in backend there will be one scheduler process. So this one is scheduler API. Okay, so what this scheduler API will do, so what this scheduler API will do, this scheduler API, this one will sync data from Salesforce to database. Okay, so what it will do, it will check for particular time, like what all customer created after this time. So it will take all the customer detail and it will sync in database. Again next day that scheduler will run, and that scheduler will check till last time, what like from last time it will take all the data and it will sync it again in database. So in this way this scheduler API will run. Okay, now once this registration process will be done, then we'll go for login. Like again user will go for login page, he will insert his credential. So there will be one authorization API, login API, that will validate that particular customer is valid or not, that user ID password exists or not. Okay, based on that it will send OTP. Again user will enter that OTP. So again this two API will be there. So we already created here, so we are not creating here. So again user will insert that OTP, and then front end will call verify OTP API. That API will return success or true response. Okay, and then based on that either user will be redirected in their profile page, or it will be redirected, or they will receive error message like credential is not valid or OTP is not valid. Okay, so once customer will able to do successful login, there will be one option to reset username and password after login. Okay, after login he can go to his profile and he can update his password or username. Okay, and before login, if like once I completed my registration, I forgot my username and password. So before login there will be one API that will help user to forgot to get existing username and password, so that he can do login. So for that we have this API. Again here also there will be one OTP API call, and there will be verify OTP API call. Since we have already here, so we are not displaying here. Okay, now once user will able to do successful login, then user can either view his detail. So to view user detail we have one API, and he can update his details. So there will be one API to update. Okay, so this is not one API. Wherever I am mentioning one API, that is three API. One will be XP API, another one will be process API, and next one will be system API. Okay, so everywhere 3 3 3 3 3. So how much? 5 3s are 15, and then this 3 will be again 3 3 API, 15 plus 9, and this one will be 2 API. Okay, in this way almost we have in between 25 to 30, I don't know exact figure, but in between 25 to 30 API will be there. Okay, and like initial phase I created 30 API, but later on I realized there are few API which is you doing same work. Okay, so in it's a if you are following this API LED architecture, then you should think about reusability of API. Okay, so if you can maximize the reuse of API, then you should follow that one. Okay, unnecessary you should not create multiple API. Now here you can see API landscape. So before that, is there anyone who don't know what is API LED architecture? Okay, fine. So means what I will say, actually this API LED architecture is nothing but this is microservice architecture. If you are from Java and .NET background, then there also we follow this in we used to term their microservice architecture, and here they have given some other name, that is API LED architecture. So what here we are doing, we are dividing our API development in 3 layers. Okay, So our first layer, let's start from down. So this first layer is system layer. So this layer is responsible to connect with external system. Okay, to connect with external system, we create system API. Okay, so in short, we say SAPI as API, that is system API. Okay, and that system API will connect with external system, and whatever, like either it will insert or fetch data or update data, whatever operation it will do, like it will do with the external system. Okay, then we have next layer is process layer. So in process layer, we used to apply all the business logic. Okay, whatever business logic we will have, we should put in process layer, and this process layer work as a intermediate in between experience and system layer. Okay, now on top of this process layer, we have experience layer. Okay, so this experience layer is responsible to expose our API to external system or different experience system. So you can see here, there may be some scenario where in web application we want to display 10 set of data, and in mobile application we want to display only few information. Since like mobile application, I want to make it lightweighted, and only I want to display 5 data in mobile application. So what we can do here, we can create multiple experience system. One experience system will be for web application, one experience system will be for mobile application, or maybe we have some other system that will be like that system is for particularly for that employee who are working in that particular organization. So in that case also we may have some other kind of system. So for example, if you go for any resource domain, so like electricity and gas supply company, they used to come with one device. Okay, so once they connect with that device, they will also able to see your customer information. Okay, so for those employee, we can't display all the customer information, some confidential information like their date of birth, their few confidential information, we can't display them. But as a member, if you are doing login using mobile or web application, you should able to see your date of birth, your gender, your some other detail, confidential details you should able to see, but that company employee should not able to see. So if we will create only one experience API, then they will also get same set of data and you will also get same set of data. So to avoid that kind of problem, what we do, we create experience API, and based on experience system we return different set of data. Okay, so now again I am saying system layer is responsible to connect with external system. Process layer, we apply all the business logic, and it work as an intermediate between experience and system API. And experience layer is responsible to connect with external system. It can be mobile application, web application, or it can be company specific some device. Okay, yeah, yes, yeah. No, I will say not exactly. Okay, actually I have worked, yeah, they follow, but not this experience layer I haven't observed. Actually I have worked for Oracle integration also. So there generally what we used to do, we don't follow this entire approach. What we used to do, like we used to create some proxy API, proxy application. Okay, not proxy, that one was, okay, like there also we follow not exactly in similar way of MuleSoft API LED architecture, but there also like whatever reusable component we have now, we used to create one separate application, like you can say proxy service, and we used to call that from another proxy. Yeah, microservice means like all technology use microservice architecture, they use in different way. Yeah, yes, HTTP. If you want okay, so for example experience API we are getting request. Sorry, sorry. Hey, no, I am not getting what answer you are giving. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So you are saying about yeah, custom connector. You are saying, yeah, got it. Yeah. There is one option like whatever application we have, API we have, we can create one custom connector for that, and we can use that. But that is not good approach. Okay, that is uh, yeah, queue also we can use when we want to make it async. Okay, if you want real time data, then we can't use, we should not use. Okay, so there are that depends on business scenario. Okay. No, I don't think in DataWeave you can call any other API. Okay, you can call flow, but one application to another application you can't call. Okay, in 99% cases there will be API call only. Okay, like API call from experience to process to system. There may be some scenario where you want to make it async, then you can introduce JMS or file. Okay, but generally if your process will be async, then that process will be like your, then generally we used to create separate process there, then again you will create one set of API, system experience and process API. But 99% cases you will use API call only, REST API call. Yeah. No. So here you can see we have this mule application, this. So in experience layer we will have 3, process layer we will have 3, system layer we will have 2. So total we are going to develop 8 application. Here in you, if you let me maximize this. So here you can see in this application we will have 3 API: get member, post member, patch member. In this also we will have get member, post member, patch member. Here we will have get member, login, forgot username password, reset username password, generate OTP, verify OTP. So total we have 6-7 API here. Okay, so we have 3 application here, and each application will have different set of API. For each layer we have multiple application also. Here we have 3 application, this. Okay, so yeah. Yes. Yeah, actually here like it's not in ideal situation it should not be MySQL database, it should be some other database where like client want to do some analytics, like they want to do some like analytics kind of thing. on customer data, okay, to like to improve their business. Okay, so they can't do on Salesforce, so they are first moving data in some storage, and there they will do that part. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, yeah, they, instead of Salesforce you are saying? Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay, yeah. So there like that depends on client. But what is objective of this? Like we are moving data to do some analytics. Okay. Yes. Or you can say like for backup purpose also we are keeping if some disaster. Yeah. Means there can be business, there can be different like business scenario where they want to move. One thing will be there will be one backup, another they want to do some analytics, okay, on this data. Okay, so there will be like some scenario. Now here actually we can't go with another paid database or another thing. That's why I took MySQL, but here it should be something, some other like platform. Okay. Yeah, but for customer management, like Salesforce is very popular CRM system. Okay, so means if customer don't have money, they can go with database. That is not a problem. But Salesforce has like lots of capability and as a CRM system. So yeah, so in that case, like they will prefer, means many client prefer Salesforce, and nowadays like it's booming. Okay, so means many customer using Salesforce as a CRM system. Yeah. So whatever system you know that can use as a data analytics or for backup purpose, you can customize that one. Okay. But for our like this project, we will use MySQL. But yeah, if you know any good system where like we can do data analytics and we can keep data as a backup, you can use that one. Okay. Not for implementation, in like explanation when you will explain this project. Yeah, actually there are yeah, there are many like system are there. Okay, so we can use anything, whatever you know, you can explain like 5-10 sentence, you should use that one. Okay, so anyone has any doubt in this like layer? Yeah. No, that part only we explained before going to this discussion. So this is our mule application. Okay, in one application we can develop multiple API. Okay, so inside this application we can develop multiple API in single application. Okay, so here also you can see this one is our first mule application. Here we have first API, second API and third API. So 3 API will be there. Here also we have 3 API, and in this application we have 5 or 6 API. Okay, in like if you go for API best practice or API governance, then like one application should not contain more than 20 or 25 API. Okay. Yeah, in this case actually our project is not including everything, so here we can go, but like to understand what this application and how it work, I created in actual way. Okay. Actually, like if we will include all other functionality instead of customer module, then few more API will come here, few more API will come here. Okay, related to member, like member can do purchase also, and he can see his transaction detail. So those API will come here. If we will include transaction module and other module, then this application will keep increasing with new set of API. Generally, we divide application based on functionality, based on user. Okay, on those basis we like divide our application. See, Salesforce side, actually I'm not expert, but there we have one option to make unique. Okay, okay, and don't expect anything like on this three external system. Like I will have very good knowledge in database also. I know basic SQL query and all. Okay, if you have like if you want to know anything like more in more advanced way, like how to create store proc and all, then in that case I will suggest like you can explore on Google. Actually store proc, how to create a store proc and all, I also don't know. So generally, like as a API developer, like DBA team will be there, they will provide you store proc and you just need to call that store proc. Okay, yes, yeah. Whatever query you have related to this, you can ask. Yeah, see. Okay, okay. So generally, like this will be decided by your architect. So before going to start this project, what they do, they understand all the requirement of client. Okay, they decide how many API will be there. Okay, everything, like all decision, like how those API will interact, like that will be means that will be API or that will follow some other like messaging pattern like JMS or file based. So they used to decide everything. Yeah, functional design document only. So this one is not functional, this one is high level design document. Okay, after this we will go for functional design document. Okay, currently we are discussing high level design document. Okay, functional design document, it depend on company and client actually. Like most of the cases, this one is not technical, this one is high level design document. Technical design document, yeah, as a developer, see this design. Yeah, yes, yeah. Oh no, generally no. Actually, at that time when they decide this high level design document, at that time they don't form team also. Okay, once they complete this design and all, then they start forming team. Unless until it's not an ongoing project. If it is ongoing project, then maybe like they will involve you also. Like since you have done some related API, so they will also include you to understand like is that feasible or not, since you have that API knowledge. But if it is like phase project, then mostly you will not be involved as a developer. Once they will complete everything, then they will do some bidding and then client will be ready, then that project will start. Okay, now here we have all the list of API. So what I already explained here. So how many API we have. So first application we have 3 API. So here you can see method name, then resource name. This one is resource name. What this API will do, small description is there, and then name of that particular API what we are going to keep. Okay, so here actually like you can see in this we will have 3, here also we will have 3. Now before going to this discussion, everyone know this, API method, what all methods we have. That is like you can say in 90% interview they will ask what is get method, post method, put, patch, delete, update. So everyone know this, or should I explain? Okay, then let me give you a high level overview. So get method we use whenever we want to retrieve resource. Okay, for example, I want to fetch customer detail. So I want to create one API to fetch customer detail, retrieve customer detail. So here what we are doing, we are retrieving one resource. Okay, so this, when we are developing this kind of API, then we should use get method. Okay, second, post. Whenever we are creating any resource, then we should use post method. Our API, like if we are developing one API and that API is creating one new resource, then we should use post method. Next we have patch and put. Okay, so put method we should use when we are completely replacing any resource. For example, we have any customer information and I want to completely replace that customer information. Okay, or if that customer doesn't exist, I want to create new customer. At that time we should use put method. And patch method we use when we want to partially update customer information. Okay, yeah, and put method, like it will, just give me 1 minute. And put method, what it will do, if resource exists, then it will completely replace that resource. If that resource doesn't exist, it will create new resource. Okay, and next we have delete method. That delete method is used to delete any resource. For example, I want to deactivate one customer, so it will delete that customer. Okay, now if you will say I am like I want to create one API. Okay, that API is creating one resource and I am using name as a I am using method as a get method. So can anyone tell me, like is this possible or not? Technically it's possible or not? I am using get method, but I am creating one new resource. Okay, so can anyone tell me reason why it's possible? Actually we should use post method. Post method create resource, but you are saying. Yes, yes, this explanation is correct. So like whatever method name we are using na, get, post, put, patch, it's not like any rule. Okay, we are just following best practice. It's not like rule, we are just following best practice, and that is API governance. Okay, in API governance you will, like they have given this best practice. Whenever you are creating resource, use get method. Whenever you are whenever you are retrieving resource, you are use get method. Whenever you are creating resource, use post method. So these all are not any rule or constraint, these all are best practice. Why they have decided like this? For example, I am calling your API. I am like a source system and I want to call your API, and you are using random method name. So it will be very confusing for me what exactly that API do. But if I will see get member, like I will come to know, like means we will provide them exchange, we will provide them document, but still by name only they will able to decide. For example, we are providing one API, two API, one for retrieve resource, another one is create resource, and same place we are providing two API, one API to retrieve transaction, another API to create transaction. In one place, for retrieve transaction we are using post method, and in case of retrieve customer we are using get method. So he will get confused if we will not follow any standard. Okay. Yeah. Method type, I'm not getting your point here. Yes. Yes. Yeah, everywhere, like what that point only I'm saying, like these all are best practice. These all these, like whatever method name or whatever error code we have, 500 401, these all are not like any rule. Okay, or those all are not any constraint. We are using following same structure, so everyone will able to understand. Okay, in case of unauthorized we should send 401. If you will send 500, then that will work. Like technically you will not get any error, or source system will not get any error, but it will be confusing for them, since we have standard like we should send 401. But even if they will get 5, like you will send 500, technically they will be successful, our side also be successful, but that will be confusing for them. Okay, so whatever we have, this error code, method name, all are API best practice, or you can say API governance. Okay, get method actually I tried one time. Okay, if you will follow YAML, then it will give error. Means if your API will be created with the help of YAML, in that case you will get error. But if you will create your API directly, most probably it will not give error. You can try once. I think I already tried without YAML. Without YAML it will work, with YAML it will not work, since it will create it will give problem in where it will give problem in YAML itself. Okay, just give me 5 minutes. I'm getting one call, urgent call is there, so just give me 5 minutes.